Hey, it's Daniel. This is a year in the life. Today is cutting update number three. So, cutting weight update number three. And this week, honestly, I don't know what happened, but I was like ravenous for food this week. And so, for whatever reason, I ended up eating way more than I wanted to. And I was just, I was meeting or exceeding my calories like every day for this last week. Couldn't tell you why. I don't know what ended up coming over me, but I did end up gaining a little bit of weight back, which it happens sometimes. So I'm gonna have to go. I don't know. I guess a little extra hard over the next week to kind of cancel that out, while still trying to keep my energy up. And so just real quick, I'm gonna come off to the side, and there is all 7 days over there. Um, you'll see all of those are green, and green isn't the best for me because green means that unfortunately those are probably going to be a couple hundred higher than what those actually are supposed to be. And given that all of those are around 2000 ish, not looking good. Overall, for the day or for the week is what we'll go over, and I'll show you if I can put that up there, like I did in my last video because I like that format a little bit more. So, going over it, average of about 2,000 calories, 1962. That was definitely about 200, 250 over that. I know that there was probably I think I had like a piece of chocolate or something like, yesterday on the 24th, or I had something maybe I didn't track on at least one or two of those days, or even like one or two items almost every day, just because I had a lot to eat by comparison to what I've been trying to eat over the past week. So today, I will say, did really well, which you'll see on next week's update. But, God, dude, this week was rough. So I think I ended the day, or I started today around like 246, which is a pound and a half above where I was last week. Not great progress. We want to see that going down, but that's okay. Sometimes things just go up. Maybe I had a little bit too much water. I had too much salt. Whatever. Maybe I was just a little bit higher than normal. We'll try to see that go down for next week. Hopefully, either getting back to where we were last week, or perhaps even going a little bit further than that. I know. Let me see. The 31st. I'm gonna even do it on the 31st. Do like a general wrap up for the month and see where we're at for the overall month. Maybe I'll do it on the first. Actually, I'll put that on the first to wrap up the entirety of January. But it's been an interesting go this last week. So, I mean, if you're seeing it, if it's still above me, which I'm sure it is, carbs, 167 grams of carbs, 92 grams of fat, 115 grams of protein. As you noticed, that fat is still a high percentage, and protein's a little low actually. An average of 115 isn't super bad over the course of, a full week, but if my goal is 200 pounds, I'm looking to be about 70% of that, so that's about 140 grams of protein on average per day that I'm wanting to try to hit. I'm 140 to 200. I want to be in that range. That's a minimum to a maximum. So I need to up that protein intake a little bit. That'll keep me a little bit more full, as well as probably why I was eating so much this week. And then on top of that, the more protein I have up until about that 200 maximum, the better I'm going to be able to take on more muscle mass, more lean mass, and then also drive those calories a little bit higher, even because lean mass, it consumes those calories a little faster. So, especially since I'm working out, I worked out like I want to say 3 or 4 times this week, doing pretty darn solid. And I was still upping in my weight, and so maybe I'm building some muscle, maybe I'm maintaining some muscle there, but I doubt it. I doubt that that's muscle growth. So anyway, 34% on carbs is a little higher by comparison to last week, if I recall correctly. Let me pull that up on my other screen real quick, just because I've got it. over there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 34%, 34.4 as opposed to 32. My fat intake is actually a little bit lower, which is pretty good. That's good. Yeah, 2.4% lower, but my protein intake's also lower, which is not the best. So overall, it looks like the I guess extra amount went over to my fat intake, and I'm pretty sure I got all of that right. Does that adds up correctly? Yeah, yeah, I think it does. Yeah, it does. Okay. So one way or another, little bit better on fats than last week, which is awesome. A little bit lower on proteins, which isn't awesome. And then also, of course, calories overall being a lot higher than they needed to be. Anyway, doing good so far as of today. I had pretty much just protein. The fat content's gonna be high for the day, I will admit, but I have only like 1,600 calories per day. Anyway, you'll see that next week. You'll see it next week. For now, this is doing pretty good. I'm not too upset about it. I just want to be losing weight that way I can tone up a bit. Maybe between now and the next video, or the next video, I'd like to get some form of I want you guys to see what the 245 looks like on me. I'm not typically prone to being shirtless on video, let alone on YouTube, but it's good to see where I'm starting. See generally where I'm starting. I know I'm 3 weeks in, but still. So good to see where I'm starting. I'll see if I can get a video next week, or sometime in between there, and that'll be a good starting point. And maybe I'll keep that going as we go forward. But just so you guys know, the goal is to, of course, I'd like to shoot for probably 35% on fats. I'd like to be closer to 28 to 30% on protein, and closer to about 30%-ish on carbs. I know that doesn't add up to exactly 100%, but we're shooting for rough figures here, And so we'll see where that goes. And if you're following along with me, that's not a bad goal in general if your goal is to cut weight. I'm not a professional by any means, but that's what I've read. That's what I've read up on, and that seems like it's a pretty decent general ratio. That's worked for me in the past. It's working so far for me now, is low calorie and keeping a generally high protein ratio. But I appreciate you following along. We will be going on into our next video. I can't even say I know what it'll be about at this point, because I haven't done a ton of stuff recently. But I look forward to seeing you in our next step, and I really appreciate you guys following along. And thank you very much. I'll see you later.